Hey everybody, and welcome to this video in which we are going to continue talking a bit more about books. Now this video will be a bit of a continuation from the previous one in which we went ahead and explained how to create a book. So if you haven't checked that one out, go ahead and check it out and you will see exactly how I went ahead to create a book like this, unwrap it and get it ready for work. So once we have our books like this, if we want to create something like this, we have a few choices. The first is if you want to go ahead and manually create a bookshelf like this one. But in all honesty, if we would manually go ahead and take all of these books with different sizes, different orientation, like stacking and whatnot, manually this would take forever. So we have to find a way in which we can either automate this or make it more of an easy task to do it. So in order to do this, first thing I want to do is I want to make a few more copies of our books. Like I have 4 different copies here. It really doesn't matter because if you want to have more different books, you can simply just clone or copy these, put in a different label on it, and you will have more books. But for now, I'm just going to take these, hold down Shift, move them once like that, make just one copy. And we'll, actually, before we do this, I'm going to delete all of these and I'm going to select my cover. As you can see, my cover and my pages are a separate object. So I'm going to put edit poly on top of this and I'm going to attach it along with the pages. I'm going to match the material IDs to the material and condense the material and IDs. So they will retain their original materials. I'm going to do the same thing for all of these books. So I'm going to attach it with these. Okay. Add an edit poly, attach, add. Okay. And do the same thing for the last one like that. Right. Now these are all objects. I can select them, hold on Shift, drag it outwards and make one copy like this. And now we have 8 books. Now I'm going to take another book, just one. Hold down Shift, drag it outwards like this. And for this one, I'm going to scale it inwards. So we get a sort of a thinner book. Now here's the thing though. Whenever you're using the scale, if you right click on the scale, you're going to notice that now all of the scales are a bit off. And if I check the previous ones, you will see that all of them have, all of the scales are not 100%. That means I've taken the original size and resized them to get it to the point where I'm actually happy with the size. In order to get this to work properly, I will need to reset the X form and make all the transformation back to 100. So the way to do this is you go over to Utilities, go reset X form and reset selected. I'm going to do this for all of them. So like this. And you're going to notice that as soon as I click on reset selected, all of these go back to 100. That means whenever we're going to do any kind of movement to it or any kind of future scaling, this thing will not be in the way. So now once we have all of this done, I'm going to right click on this, convert to an editable poly. That is going to collapse it. Otherwise, you're going to have the X form standing here as an extra modifier. So for this, I'm at 100, so no problems with the scaling. Hold down Shift, drag it outwards and make another like 5 or so copies. The more you have, the better it is going to be for you, because the script that we're going to use later on is going to have more to choose from. So for this, I'm going to simply just make one more book that is going to be a tad bit taller than the rest. So again, just a tad bit taller, maybe just a tiny bit bigger, and we get something like this. Put it to the side like that. And again, as I can see, my absolute world on all of these is okay, except for this one. This one has a problem. And again, the way to fix it is reset the X form, right click, convert to an editable poly, and this one is fixed. I'm gonna make a few copies from this one as well. And we should be good for having a base for our books like this. So now what I want to do here is I want to find a way to get all of these up on a shelf, just like we saw in our original image, namely this one. So in order to make this automatic or make our life a lot easier, we can go ahead and check out this page over here, moralask.weebly.com/bookscatter. He has a very nifty script that you can get over here, bookscatter, which does exactly what we just saw on our image or on reference image. Also, you can get this directly from ScriptSpot, so just type in book scatter. Alright, so I'm going to close this one. And once you download the script, all you got to do is just drag it in your 3ds Max viewport. And this is what you get. You get this nice little window. So here's the thing. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off all of the options and go over them one by one. So for this, I'm going to select all of my books. And now, before we do anything, this is very important. It says we need to fix this portion over here where it says align the books to look to front view, then select them and fix their pivots by pressing this button fix. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that our books are facing forwards in the front viewport. So I'm going to click on the front here, and I can see they're facing backwards. They're facing away. So a quick rotate from here. So I'm going to rotate them 180 degrees. There we go, like this. And now if I check my front, I want to see that they're facing up front. So select all of them and click on this fix. What this is going to do is going to take all of these individual books and put the pivot in the center on the base. So you're going to see all of them have the pivot over there, which is nice, and it's going to do wonders for now. All right, so once we have done that, let's take a look at what we have here from options. The first thing we need to do is we need to tell the script how many shelves our bookcase has. For example, if we take a look at this reference image that I was just using, we can see that we have quite a bit of horizontal and vertical shelves that if we have to mimic or if we have to replicate, we can simply count them up and to the side and input those values in the script. So for now, I'm going to close this. And let's go ahead and just do a number of here. We have the vertical shelves, and here you have the horizontal shelves. For example, I'm only going to change this, and I'm going to put the number of vertical shelves to 2. And now the second thing that you need to have here is the distance between the vertical shelves. By default, this thing should be 40. I'm not sure if it's going to be 40 on your side, but I've set it to 40. I'm not sure if it saves it by default, if it comes by default. It really doesn't matter. This is basically telling it the distance it's going to be from one pivot to the next one above it. So as we saw, all of these have their pivot on the base. So now this means that we're going to have 2 vertical shelves, and these books are going to be with 40 centimeters or 40 units, so whatever units you have in your max file, 40 units are is where that height is going to be. So I'm not going to change anything else. I'm going to leave the horizontal shelves for now. So only 2 vertical shelves, 40 distance. I'm going to click on run. So as soon as I run this, you're going to notice this. I'm going to put this to the side. I just got all of these books in 2 rows, like that one you're seeing. And the distance between those vertical shelves is 40 centimeters. Now, if I increase this, I'm going to select all of these back and delete them. Select this. Increase the number of vertical shelves to maybe even like 4 or 5. Let's go with 4. Again, click on run. You get 4 shelves. If we had a bookshelf in here, we just could have placed these on the bookshelf. So for now, I'm going to select all of these and delete. Now, I'm going to go down and add an additional horizontal shelf. So I'm going to put in 2, and this is what you have. You have the horizontal shelf length. So basically what we have here is this length over here. So that horizontal length is giving us how much or how long all of those shelves are going to be. So far we had it at 55. Let's try it at 25. And I'm going to put this back to 1 so you can see the difference. So with 25 and we run, we see that we have very, very short or very small shelves. Now if we put it back to 50 and run again, we have longer shelves. And now here's the thing. If we take this and put it to 2 and get this to 25, we still have one additional option over here, and that is the gap between the shelves. This gap is basically allowing you to take into account what would be the width of this type of a piece. So it's either this one or this one. So basically the piece of wood that's holding up the upper portion of the bookshelf. So I can put this to 5 centimeters, and in that case, if I run this again, now you're gonna notice that in the middle I have this gap. If I delete again and decrease this to let's say 2 centimeters, then the gap is gonna be significantly smaller. You can barely see it over here. So now we have a way of adding a lot of books on shelves that make it look very neat. So now what happens is if we want to have a more realistic look, it is very, very rarely that you will ever see a bookstore or even a book place, even maybe even a library, where all of the books are really neatly stacked together, one next to the other. Well, you might see them in a store, which are basically trying to sell the book. Otherwise, books tend to be left with a bit of a mess. What I mean by this is, again, if we take a look at our reference image, you're going to see that a lot of those books may be a bit crooked. They are stacked. They have a bit of an angle to them. Maybe some are like at a certain angle, leaning towards other books and whatnot. So basically a lot of different variants for the books. So in order to get that, we have the rest of these options over here. So for example, the first thing we're going to look is the book stacks. So this is the option over here. So I'm not going to change any more of these options here. I'm only going to put this back to 5, maybe get it to have a bit more books. And we're going to run it now. And we get this as it is. Now, I'm going to turn on the book stacks. As soon as I click this, you have a few options over here. The first thing is the probability of a stack appearing. So this is 1/20th. So this means we have about, if I'm not mistaken, about 5% chance to appear. And then you have the minimum number of books. I have it here for 3, and the maximum number of 6. And also, you have a maximum length of the stacks in units. So if the height is 40 here, I'm going to leave this to 30. And as it is right now, I'm going to click run and see what happens. Definitely nothing happened here. So let's try and increase the chance of appearing. Let's go ahead. Run. Okay, nothing again. All right, I'm gonna leave this. And if our book stacks are not appearing, then we might have a bit of a problem. That problem can be, in most cases, the length of our horizontal shelves. Because if we want to stack up these books, they're going to have to be laid out flat. So we might need to add in a bit more on the length for the horizontal shelves. So for this, I'm going to put it down to 40, or actually put it up to 40. Select all of these. Increase the minimum number of books from 3 to 1, or I can put it back to 3. And let's see what happens now. So I'm going to hit run. And there we go. We just got some of these books being laid down and stacked up upwards. So we are starting to get somewhere by breaking up the uniformity of what we had previously, where all of the books were uniform. So this option over here controls if we're going to have this type of stacking. Remember, just like I had the bit of a problem right now, that I had to literally pause the recording and continue. If no book stacks are appearing, the culprit is usually the length of the shelves over here. So increase the length of the shelves, you're going to get more stacks. So for this, I'm going to turn it off so you can better see the rest of the options here. So again, if we run it, we get this really, really nice stack of books. So delete again. And this time around, turn on the Y-axis rotation. So by clicking this, you basically have, again, probability of a book to be rotated, so about 10%, and then you have the limit of the book's rotation in degrees. So it can be rotated left 10 degrees and right by 10 degrees. You can more emphasize this even more if you put it like maybe 30 degrees by 10. And if you click run right now, you're gonna get something like this. So here we go. We have some of the books being laid up to the side, some are on the other side. If you want to increase the number of rotation, you increase this. So let's try it again. So let's put it down to 5. So 1/5, about 20%. And run. And there we go. Now we see we got a lot of more books being laid to the side. All right, so that is what we get with the Y-axis rotation. I'm going to delete all of these books again, select them back, and I'm going to turn off the Y-axis rotation. And we're going down to book flipping. So this here, again, it's a nice way of adding variant to your bookshelves. So basically, by doing this, we're going to flip it on its Z-axis. And what this means is once you run it, you're going to see that some of the books have their pages turning to the front, while others still retain the original orientation and they have their faces to the front. So again, a very nice way of adding variant. I'm going to turn it off again and delete. Select these. And now we have the scale. So basically, this is going to give you the ability to change the scale or the size of the books. You have a minimum scale of the books and maximum scale. So I can decide if I want to have bigger books than this one, although I don't want to go over too big. But let's try with 0.8 to 1.2. That means we're going to have a lot of these books with a different size. So run. And you can see that right here we have a lot of books that more or less aren't the same. like this, which really breaks up the linear look that we had previously, although it might be a bit harsh. So if we want to get a more realistic look, I can get this to 1, which is going to give it just a smaller look like this. There we go. So nothing is going to go above this size, which is okay. And I'm going to delete these and check out the last option over here, which is the Y position. The Y position is really easy to see what it does. As soon as you click the run, you basically see that all of the books are now just moved a tiny bit. So they are not really straight in line. So this is what usually happens when you read a book. You take it out, you put it back in. You don't like push it back all the way in. You get this look of a jaggy edge on all of the books. So with all of these options that we just saw, if we turn them all on, so for example, turn on the book stacks, turn on the y-axis rotation, the book flipping, the scale, so all of them up, and we click run, we get a really nice looking, interesting result like this that we can then take and simply move into our shelf. So if I had a shelf that was with that size, I can just take all of these books and put them up on the shelf, and my job here would be done. And with this, we close the chapter on making books. So I hope you guys had fun and you managed to learn something new. If you have any questions, leave them below. I will meet you in the comment section of the video. And if you enjoyed the video, then please click the like button. And if you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.